Louis, of course, the final day of the regular season coming up tomorrow with Bromley visiting the stadium in an early kick-off. But first of all, just casting your mind back to the middle of the week, obviously an unusual one for yourself, given that you obviously had to deputise as goalkeeper for the second half. I mean, it's been mentioned before that you'd been the backup keeper. I was kind of wondering in the back of my head whether it would ever happen, and it ultimately did in the middle of the week.
Yeah, long story short, I've talked a big game for about 2.5 seasons about me quality and extra string me bow to be second choice goalkeeper when we don't have one on the bench, and the opportunity finally came. I think I did okay. Bit disappointing how I dealt with the cross, but it was a different scenario. Just at the time, it's one of them ones where just taking one for the team and just helping we'll get through the situation. But what's more important is actually how the outfield players continue to approach the challenge after the red card, how the lads still try to be on the front foot and press as high as possible and condense the space and deal with 1v1s because of that one less man. People were exposed a little bit more, and from my position I was just so proud of the boys' performance that were in front of us, because even with a man down, we still looked like we could score. All the shots still didn't control the game, and we reduced their chances to very minimum. Ultimately, their goal comes from the ball hitting the striker in the face. So, yeah, weird scenario for me, but it was just a little bit of adversity. Just shows how strong this group is, and we'll definitely take that positive of how we reacted, how we dealt with the situation going into tomorrow and into the crucial games ahead of that.
Yeah, and you mentioned tomorrow as well, of course, with it being the final game of the season and yourselves having already locked in a playoff place. How are you looking ahead to that tomorrow? Are you trying to isolate that away from sort of playoff preparation? Are you trying to use the two in sort of tandem with each other? How is it from your point of view?
Yeah, I think there's probably a hybrid approach in terms of we see the game finishing off this block of intense load for the boys. So we'll be continuously looking to manage the load individually and making sure that the right players get the right rest from the previous games, and the players that need the top of a minutes get it tomorrow. We are going into tomorrow with half an eye on the bigger picture because of such a tight turnaround, and we wouldn't be doing our job if we weren't looking at that bigger picture with a 3-4 day turnaround. Not too sure if we're going to be home or away, but what it definitely does from a performance point of view, allows us just to reinforce and get clean with our concepts, which we think are our real strengths and our superpower, which we back against any opposition. Bromley are obviously a very, very good team and pose real threats in certain scenarios with their style of play, and it'll just be another opportunity for us to be able to show how we can deal with that, to execute our game plan against that style of play, which just adds to our armoury going into the playoffs, because at this moment in time it's completely unknown who we're playing midweek or whether we play next Saturday, if we're home or away. So just being able to touch on all them different bits and pull it all together is just great preparation.
Ahead of tomorrow, you do have one new arrival quite late on into the season, which is probably slightly unusual, but with Brandon Halstrup coming in, obviously he'd been registered a little while ago but hadn't been able to be around the place just due to injury. But how much are you looking forward to integrating him into the squad for what is a key part of the season now?
Oh, it's a huge boost to have Brandon. First of all, his quality and his pedigree is there for everyone to see. Coming from League One, his ability to play in a couple of positions across the back line and in the wide areas is going to be huge for us to provide quality and depth. The conversations we've had with Cambridge, it's beneficial all round. It's beneficial for Brand, it's beneficial for us, for Cambridge themselves in terms of his kind of recovery from his injury that he's had this season. And he's trained with the group today, and he fitted in really well, and you could really see his quality. And I think having that extra body, but that extra body with quality, is just giving us all a little bit of a lift, and no doubt you'll be a valuable part of our final effort and push between now and the end of the season.
Yeah, and you mentioned before in terms of the busy schedule, obviously a lot of rotation over the games that you have had over that period of time. But how is everyone looking off the back of that, just in terms of dealing with those amount of games? Obviously people like Hanno and Kenton missed out in the middle of the week just because, you know, they played 3 games in the space of about 4-5 days.
Yeah. I think overall, I know I mentioned it in a previous interview, if you take Cookie out of it, and the reason why Cookie's a little bit of an interesting one is because it wasn't an impact injury from the actual game. It was unfortunately from you know, the collision with the boards that failed. But one thing that we are quite happy with is that even though there is a bit of tiredness, and there always going to be with that period of games and the turnaround, and how some players had to maybe play 2 games in a tight succession and we didn't able to go play, then rest, then play again, is that we've come through the period pretty unscathed from an injury point of view. This next couple of days is obviously going to be crucial, which we will balance up with the lineup and selection tomorrow. We've had ongoing conversation with all the players, just having to check in, making sure everyone's in a positive place, in a comfortable place going ahead of the weekend, and we'll get that balance right, which we have. Ultimately, the results on exactly where we want them to be. It's a little bit frustrating because going into that period, you know, we were in a position to really attack 3rd and 4th place, and we really backed ourselves in it. I think any team would have struggled to get through that period and to take the points that they would want if them games were just Saturday with 7 days rest in between. But like I say, the main positive is that we've come unscathed. Lots of players have got lots of minutes. We're trying to get the balance, and we can really attack these final games with as much quality and depth in our squad.
Yeah, and in terms of the team news for tomorrow, I think that the one of note really, obviously Nathan's red card in the middle of the week. I think there was an appeal which was dismissed by the sounds of it, which obviously unfortunate because it didn't seem like there was a huge amount of contact there, but he'll be missing for tomorrow. But I suppose the positive on that front is that obviously you've got Beachy and Monty in the building, who are both very capable goalkeepers. Yeah,
for sure. Our goalkeeping department at this moment in time is top draw, potentially one of the strongest in the league, and they're all good professionals in terms of they've been on it day in, day out, regardless of who's been playing or whether they expect to play or they don't expect to play. So whoever plays tomorrow, we'll be backing them just as much as we backed Nathan on Wednesday. And it's almost an area that we don't have to worry about too much because, like I say, we've got so much strength and depth in that position. We just kind of go over the final bits in terms of selection, getting the right balance, who we want to go with. But yeah, whoever it is, we'll be fully backing, just like we backed Nathan and Monty in previous games before that.